Okay. Happy Thursday, January 23rd, 2025 already. Stein Realty executives here in the villages and surrounding areas. Excited to bring you a little bit of an update. Seeing major changes, something that is going to be maybe concerning for many people, or it could be opportunity for others. And I guess that's kind of like the old, each person's trash might be someone else's treasure. So we're going to be looking at that this morning. And of course, welcome if you're watching this live. Thank you for attending. If you're watching a recording later on, welcome as well. And, by the way, it's been really, really nippy here in the villages. It has been pretty cold. I mean, we've seen snow just about an hour and a half north of us, which is I can't remember a time. I've been in this area. I've lived in the Central Florida area since '95, and I can't remember a time where we've seen colder weather. And I remember probably about 20 years ago, 22 years ago, it was pretty cold. Probably in the 20s during the daytime, we've had like a real cold snap, but it's real rare. And I don't remember seeing snow this close and that much snow. And that's just a little dusting and like, oh, we saw a snowflake. No, we're talking about like inches of snow, like a couple, hour and a half to 2 hours north of us, just in the northern end along the panhandle and the northern stretch of kind of Florida I-10 area. So like, wow. And it's nippy here. So it's been like, I don't know, 35, 36. Let us know what your weather's like. Not that you're going to be sympathetic unless you're watching, from the Caribbean islands or some southern place. So I know the temperature's kind of crazy, but put in the chat. I'd love to hear from you what you're experiencing weather-wise for sure, and any issues you're seeing. Yes, 13 degrees. Where are you, Liberty? Where are you? 13 degrees. I had somebody interesting. Had somebody connect with me recently from Wyoming, and they were like, "Man, I've never imagined it'd be this nippy, and I didn't move to Florida for this weather." I was like, well, it could be worse. I mean, you could be back in Wyoming. What's the temperature in Wyoming? I think it was like -20 or something crazy like that. I was like, well, that's a 50 to 60 degree spread, and certainly it's a little bit better. And next week promises to be better. Michigan, yes, you guys are you're going through winter, right? Like this is kind of normal for you. This is a little bit abnormal for us here in Florida and the villages. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about the surprise. I don't know if it's surprising. Some people predicted this. I didn't see all of this coming, and maybe I should have. We're kind of seeing a paradoxical marketplace right now in the villages, and it's a little bit of a lot of inventory, which we're going to talk about, and also a lot of demand at the same time. So it's really interesting. So let's jump into it. You should be seeing this screen. One thing I wanted to do was let's start with the good news. I like starting off with good news. So looking at the demand, what you're looking at here is the villages numbers, MLS villages, right? There's two different things, MLS and VLS. VLS is developer, where the real estate agents, realtor side of things on MLS. So 68 closings so far this year. Pretty much, January 1 through January 20. I'm sorry, January 1 through January 22nd, 2024. These are last year's numbers. Okay, 68 closings. Okay, remember that number, because now what I want to show you is, okay, what are the numbers? And obviously I'm doing this live, so bear with me. Right? Let's take a look at what we're seeing this year. So I'm going to put the January 22nd because it's not even, we haven't gone through the whole day yet, just the beginning of the day. So as you can tell, look at that freeze warning on my computer here. That's so strange. Such a strange thing. All right, so let me put in the cities. I'm going to put the villages into the search, right? And a little bit of Lady Lake, and then I'm going to, and this is 99.8% accurate. There's some stragglers in here when we start looking at the accuracy of all this, but it's really close. 79 closings so far this year. So that tells you 11 more closings, which you might think, okay, it's not that much, right? 11 more closings. What's the big deal when you're looking at 11 more closings? Well, 11 more closings is right at, it's almost six, it's probably about 13, 14% better than last year, which, by the way, the predictions I made is like 15 to 20% better this year. So we're not that far behind, that particular estimation on, accuracy and improvement into this year. So I think that's a real plus. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the improvement we're going to see this year. And so far, that's what we're seeing this year. Now let's get into, that's the good news. So let's get into, the potential problems that we're seeing right now. Okay, we're seeing an increase in inventory, and we're seeing actually unprecedented, and I almost hate that word because it's been overused over the last couple of years, unprecedented. But it's actually true. We've never seen this many active properties on the market right now in the villages. It's definitely a big difference. So when we're looking at what's on the market right now, 634 listings on the market, and it's not slowing down. In other words, on a weekly basis, we're seeing about a 15 to 20 listing swing in favor of more listings. So it's a little bit scary, like how many properties are coming on the market, right? So that does concern me in a big way. 600, what is it, 636? Right, 634 properties on the market right now. That's definitely concerning, right? That's something that we do have to really watch out for when we're looking at properties on the market, because when you got that much inventory, the concern is prices can come down, which is a concern. When you're seeing that much inventory, the concern is properties could come down, right? Spanish Springs, yes, Liberty, the Spanish Springs. It was cold. It's cold last week and this week, but the good news is next week it'll be better. And of course, we're going to warm up. That's the good news. It's the beauty of being in Florida that you get to warm up, and in end of January, beginning of February, it starts to warm up a bit, and it's not, Michigan. You guys are. I feel sorry for you guys up there for sure. And all the northern climates, it's like, wow, it's going to be cold all the way to May, right? It's like you can still see snow in May, even some people June, right? Put that in the chat. Like, when was the last time you saw, what was the latest you saw snow in your area? The latest. That'd be super interesting to see. But no, inventory being at a record high right now, and I don't see that slowing down. Maybe towards maybe in about 3 to 4 weeks, it's possible, and it's going to be interesting to see if that trend starts to reverse, where we start seeing a little bit more demand than actually active properties coming on the market, which could happen and typically happens February, March in the villages. That happens, okay, we're going to start to see a reduction. But here's the problem. Problem is we're still way over 600 properties on the market, and we've got that many. How do you get down to 300, which is in the 300 to 350 range? And that to me is like a normalish, or what we would deem normal back pre-2020, pre-COVID days. Okay, how do we get there? Like, I don't see us getting there anytime soon, because we'd have to see a massive reduction in inventory, or I'm sorry, a massive reduction in interest rates from around the country, massive demand, and just incredible, just like, wow, just a big blowout in demand. But the problem is there are also developers still building, right? The village is still building, so you still have more inventory. And they've got their own set of inventory, which is, if you multiply the numbers I'm giving you here times probably, 2.5, because new construction and resale, then you're talking about, 1,500 homes available right now. With the demand being, let's take a look at demand, right? Let's take a look at, what we're seeing as far as demand. Let's look at, let's see, we're going to put in here, bear with me. Let's take a look. Actually, let's look at the 7-day numbers. 7-day numbers will tell you 38 closed, 43 pending properties, which means 40 in the last 7 days. We've had 43 people buy a home and put it under contract the last 7 days, right? But the problem is we're seeing 63 as our number for the number of properties that are coming on the market. So that's certainly an indication. So we're not going to see diminishing demand anytime soon, at least the next couple of weeks. And then we may see a trickle. That's my prediction. We'll see a little bit of a trickle going into the spring market, where we start seeing a little bit of a reduction in inventory. So the problem that causes, let's talk about that. So it's a plus and minus. The plus is that buyers have an opportunity. And I'm not saying you can, what I'm noticing is that sellers are holding on to their prices with the asterisk of, well, you can get a little bit of a reduction in price. Maybe, 10% is a possibility, 5 to 10%. And I think, look, if it's not a super unique property, if you've got 5 others to choose from, I recommend that. Like, I think it's, some people may hate that. Like, oh my gosh, what are you trying to do to drive your prices down? I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just looking at being, a realist. And like, okay, if you've got a lot of something, you have an opportunity as a buyer to get a discount. And that's going to happen anyway, supply and demand. Whether we like it or not, that's something that's just going to happen. On the negative side, and obviously negative. Well, I mean, look, the negative side, you're going to see prices go down, right? And we have been seeing that. They're not plummeting, but we're definitely seeing negotiations. I definitely think that it is a buyer's marketplace, right? I do not think it's a seller's marketplace unless you've got something kind of the one of one type of property. The property is just really, really unique. Then that's different, right? Like that makes a difference if you've got something really, really unique. So outside of that, you may struggle getting your home sold. But here's the thing. Here's the advice I want to give everybody. Here's the advice. So yeah, Mother's Day. Wow. Yeah, Mother's Day for snow. For those of you that missed it, put in the chat. When was the latest in the year that you've seen snow in your area? Put that in the chat. But one thing that we know is that if there's a lot of inventory, prices will likely come down, right? Prices will likely come down. And that being the case, then you've got an opportunity to get a deal out there. You have an opportunity to negotiate some deals on the buyer side. On the seller side, you need to make sure that you're really looking at pricing your home correctly. This is not a market to test the market. Let's see what happens. I mean, you can do that. The problem is, here's the real problem behind let's test the market. When you test the market, you're accumulating days on market for yourself, which means that the more days that you show up, because this is something that registers, where people notice that your home has been on the market 55 days versus 5 days, your home is not as attractive. It just isn't, right? So, make sure that, maybe for a week, we're not here to give away your home. We're here to guide you. And when your home is on the market less days, the more money you make as a seller. So make sure your home is move-in condition. Always works better if you've got the money to make the replacements and repair and paint and And I'm not saying you can get more money than what it's worth. You're going to get what it's worth, right? It's not like, okay, it's worth $400,000 if it's move-in ready, and then you do $20,000 worth of repairs. Now it's worth $420. No, it's worth $400. But if you don't do the repairs, it'll be worth, okay, people do buyer's math. They'll get a bigger reduction in price, and it won't be $380. It'll be $375, $360. And that's something that your real estate agent should explain to you. If you have questions about that, connect with me. 352-572-3796, 352-572-3796. Want to bring your attention to this, because this is actually like not the final copy that's actually in print, but we've got a quarterly report that we do, and we've got the end of year report that is in production right now that tells you, okay, what's happened last year, and kind of a summary of last year, which gives you an idea here This is what it looks like. So if you want a copy of that, let me know. You can text me, or you can put it in the chat, or call me, let me know, that type of thing. So it's kind of what it gives you an idea. It's kind of an interesting thing to look at. You can also pick it up at many of our open houses, that type of thing. And it gives you an idea of what's happening in the real estate market. If you're just curious, that's perfectly good. Being curious is good. I think that's a beautiful thing, to be curious. But if you are thinking about selling or buying and you're trying to figure that out, I think it's a good thing to look at as well, at least in the next, and it could be the next 6-8 months or any time in 2025. So with that, hopefully I answered some questions that you may have about buying and selling. If I missed anything, put it in the chat. And obviously for the folks that are live, thank you. If you're going to watch this later, you're watching this later, let me know how I can help.